It's here on the portal that we are in danger of losing our bodies. Or some line like that. In the book, no one is talking about this. So much time is spent in developing an online persona at the expense of the time that could be spent in developing our bodies. It seems like in adulthood, the only kind of development spoken of is professional, while stages of adult development are ignored and even fought against. It's not that once we are no longer children and enter the workforce that our development is over. And when people work with a therapist or pop psych Instagram coach or ayahuasca retreats, the language used is healing rather than developing. What happened before is viewed as a trauma rather than a path that hasn't been developed. People identify as having ADHD instead of taking the time and effort to develop their attentional resources. And now almost everyone I know has diagnosed themselves or asked an uninspired doctor to diagnose them with ADHD. I don't know many people, barring like 3 or so, that could actually pay sustained attention on any conversation. But I do know people who once were very distractible, and they now are able to stay present and connected for sustained periods of time. And the language used there isn't healing from trauma, but developing. And on that note, I go back to my original idea that it's here on the portal that we are in danger of losing our bodies. Here on the internet with Dr. Google, we develop identities as victims of people and of pathologies. Instead of stepping away from the computer, taking care of our bodies, and developing social skills of attention, of empathy, of patience, of curiosity, of listening rather than speaking, of actually listening, and above all, of non-identification. More so, I don't really like the terms neurotypical or neurodivergent. I don't know how they're used clinically, and I know that I'm speaking from the very limited sample size of my own personal experience. But nobody that I know is neurotypical. Divergence is typical. And this ties into Gabor Mate's myth of normal, which was all the rage last year. There is no normal. Everyone is just doing the best that they can with the tools that they've been given. And I think that the label neurodivergent is a way that people try to signify specialness and demand special treatment, which is, I think, its own form of violent communication. Instead of developing themselves, there's a demand that others change their treatment of them. And in the end, I think that the labels of divergent versus typical fall into this trap of black and white binary thinking instead of understanding that everything exists on a spectrum. That's it for today. This was a very charged episode. All right.